this Ramadan.
Welcome back. You are tuned into the afternoon beat right here on Salam Media. My name is Zahid Jadwat, keeping you company this afternoon. It's a quiet, reflective Sunday vibe, and whether you're resting or just soaking in the calm, we're thrilled to have you with us this afternoon as always. So today we're actually diving into a story that's got India talking, the Waqf Amendment Bill. This is all about those special Waqf properties, think masjids, community lands, places tied to faith and good deeds, and a plan to change how they are managed. It's stirring up big debates, and we're here to unpack it this afternoon. Joining us is Dr. Mujibur Rehman Sheikh, a political scientist from Jamia Millia Central University in New Delhi. Dr. Rehman's a master at making sense of India's big issues, and is here to shed light on what this bill means and why it matters. Dr. Mujibur Rehman, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Welcome to Salam Media. Dr. Mujibur Rehman, could you hear me? Okay, it seems there is a bit of a lag on our guest's side. Let's, I think, see if we can get that rectified, and then we can continue with the interview, hopefully without much delay. But essentially what we're hoping to discuss this afternoon is the Waqf Amendment Bill in India, which has got people talking. It's something that has sparked quite a bit of controversy, especially concerning India, the government, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and his attitude towards minorities, Muslims included, in that country, and the way that these groups are treated, and much pushback from certain sections of the community right there. But I tell you what, while we're waiting for Dr. Mujibur Rehman, we're going to try to get a better connection with him, and hopefully then we'll be able to actually get into it and discuss this in much greater detail and unpack it. While we're waiting for that, let's take a quick ad break, and we'll continue when we come back.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
It's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Penny Appeal's Education First campaign helps children to get access to quality education.
I'm 14 years old. When I grow up, I'd like to be a scientist.
We believe every child belongs at school,
And we want education, a better education.
learning and dreaming their way to a better future. With your help, we can provide classrooms, desks, stationery packs, and school shoes. Help make these dreams a reality. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference. When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
This Ramadan, join Africa Muslims Agency to provide meals of mercy in 23 nations across the world. Feed the fasting for 120 Rand per day, provide a grocery hamper for 1,800 Rand per month, and feed a community for 19,000 Rand per day. A single meal can turn hunger into hope from Gaza to South Africa to Malawi and beyond. Help AMA to set a table where there was none. 23 nations, one table, every meal a mercy. With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust. You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Okay, we're back, and hopefully this time with a better connection with Dr. Mujibur Rehman Sheikh, a political scientist coming out to us from India. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you can hear us better this time.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Okay. Perfect. Dr. Rehman, for our listeners who may not be familiar, I think could you explain what Waqf properties are, and then tell us about the Waqf Amendment Bill and why is it generating so much discussion over in India?
Well, Waqf property, as you know, that this is an Islamic practice, and it originated in the Arab world, and where people donate their property in the name of Allah for perpetuity for the use of the public. And so there is a large number of, because India is a huge chunk of Muslims who live in India, so there is a large number of property which has been donated as part of the Waqf at various points of time over last 1,000 years. And so there is a massive amount of property that is there under the Waqf. And it so happens this because in India, we had a British rule and all of it, so there was a major disruption that has taken place. So there has been a lot of changes in the rules in terms of property management and ownership and all that stuff. And there is also corruption. So the government of India came out with a specific bill after India's independence, how to manage this property. And the large part of that responsibility was given to the community. Now the BJP government is trying to take that particular right out of the community and put it under the auspices of the government. And so that is where the major problem lies. Because a lot of these properties are very old, obviously there is not enough adequate papers and documentation for those properties, because they are hundreds of years of old, places like Kabristan, Dargahs and all that. So the government is asking that you have to produce papers for all of that. And because India has gone through so many changes in terms of regimes and laws, so a lot of these properties don't have those documentation. The government has come out with a rule saying that those properties where the Waqf committee produce documents, those properties will be taken over by the state. And so by that account, close to 70 to 80% of the property would go back to the state. And so there will be a massive loss for the community.
Roughly how many properties? Roughly how many properties are we talking about here when we speak about these Waqf properties in India?
Well, there are all kinds of statements which have been made because India is a massive country. So in the media, the claims are it is 50 times more than Singapore and something like 30, 40 times bigger than Qatar or something like that. So there is a significant amount of property, and a lot of these properties are located in urban areas because India was under Muslim rule for a very long time. So a lot of these properties are in the urban areas and are in the prime locations. So the cost of these properties are massive. Like the prices, they are all very expensive properties. So they are all in the heartland of the big cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Calcutta, all these big cities. Hyderabad, Lucknow. They are all major cities which has a long history of Muslim Muslim residents and all of that about it. So it's a massive amount of property, which is bigger than many countries actually in terms of size, in a smaller countries compared to. So that's what it is. It's a massive amount of property.
Yeah. What are some of the key changes proposed in this bill compared with the existing Waqf Act as it stands?
Yeah, so since there were issues concerning the documentation, like there is a graveyard right behind at the heart of the city, which has been there since Mughal days, which is almost like more than 500 years. Obviously, there are no documentation as such for that. So, in order to address those issues, the previous government, the federal government, came out with a bill where they had this provision called Waqf by use. So if there is a property that is being used by Muslims, say Kabristan or the graveyard. Graveyards are Muslims are buried there, so this is a Muslim property. So Muslims are using it. So the ownership used to be with the community, and there is this provision called Waqf by use. So since Muslims are using it, mosque. So obviously it is a mosque, so obviously it is being used by Muslims. So there is no need for documentation. And likewise Dargah, which are the Sufi saints and all of that. So there are a lot of properties which are giving the ownership to the community because they are used by the community. Now this government is saying so that particular provision is not valid anymore. And you have to produce documents. If you don't have the documents, then that goes to the state. So by that account, as I said, close to 70 to 80% of Muslim property or Waqf property was going to the state. That's a major provision changes. The second is that there was this internal committee that was set up by the previous government, secular government, where considerable amount of power was with the community and community leaders and all of that. Obviously, there are some complaints of corruption. Now, the government has taken all those powers and handed over those powers to the collectors, to the district magistrates. Now, there is a major complaint by the Muslim community leaders and secular leaders that the district magistrates are generally influenced by the government. So they will basically decide which is the property, which is a Waqf property, which is not a Waqf property. So there is a possibility that fair, because the decisions will not be fair towards the community. That is another major provision. The third provision is this: they also want a Hindu member. A Hindu person has to be the member of one of the Waqf committees. So, which also the community is objecting, because there are Hindu temples and they also have the management and the trust to manage the property. So there are no Muslim members in the management of all these properties. So similarly, if there are no Muslims who are part of the committee in managing Hindu temples and the properties associated with it, why should non-Muslims or Hindus be allowed to supervise or be the member of the committee of Waqf property? That's another major concern that they have. Basically, because this is a majoritarian government, so there has to be some kind of an Hindu supervision of all the properties, or there should be some say of Hindu community on the property. That's another major concern. These are some of the major concerns that the community has raised. And there was a massive petition going around. More than 100,000 people from different parts of India had petitioned the government to change, not to get into reform all these things. But yeah, you were asking something.
Yeah, I think this also, to an extent, ties in with conversations around the Indian government's treatment toward minority communities, communities such as the Muslim community in India. How do you see this tying together?
Well, so there has been a lot of uneasiness and unhappiness in a manner that the BJP government has treated the community. And there are a lot of questions. For instance, there are a lot of cases coming out where a lot of, not the government, but the Hindu right organizations, they are trying to, coming out with all kinds of complaint about that there is some temple beneath some old mosques. There are many old mosques, places like Mumbai and others. Uh, they're accusing that these mosques were built after the destruction of the temples during the Muslim rule. When Muslims were rulers, they destroyed all these temples, and over those temples, these mosques are built. So therefore, these mosques should be handed over back to the Hindu community. So that has led to a major confrontation in different parts of India, particularly North India. So, so there has been a great sense. And besides, there are other issues which has been part of global discussion regarding lynching and bulldozer justice and all of that. So if there is, if Muslims are protesting somewhere, so then if there are major leaders are there associated with their properties are destroyed through bulldozers.
Mm.
So those
I,
things have created a climate of discrimination against Muslim community. So to add to that, then this particular bill when it has come, which also looks like an interference into the management of property of Muslim community by the government. So therefore, it is taken more seriously, and there is a grievance by the community that this particular regime is particularly against their property, against their right, against their mosques, dargahs, and all of that.
Mm. One of the reasons that has been put forward for these changes is that there has been instances of corruption noticed when it comes to these Waqf properties. Firstly, your take on that, and then also, do you think that the changes actually do address this issue?
Yeah, there is, of course, because there are a lot of property, so there have been cases of corruption. Corruption in the sense there are different kinds of corruption. For instance, a lot of prime properties were leased out. According to Islamic law, Waqf property can be sold. Okay, so Waqf property can only be leased out to somebody, and then some financial interest could be accrued out of it, which will be put into the community use. There are a lot of properties are leased out. So a lot of prime properties are leased out at a very, very low prices, in a very, very small amount. So there are major properties, are there. I had written an article about this in the Frontline magazine where I have given the details of the list of the properties and how.
Dr. Sheikh? Okay. Dr. Sheikh, I think we're struggling to hear you at the moment. If you could just perhaps move around a bit, hoping the connection can become a bit stronger that way.
Yeah. So there is corruption, no doubt, but the corruption could be handled in different manners. And there are other ways to reorganization of the judicial processes and all of that. It could be handled, but that is not what is being done out here. The attempt is actually to overhaul the entire management of the property. That is the reason why there is so much of concern. Because there is corruption in almost every walk of life in India. There is no walk of life where corruption does not exist, right? And on this particular matter, only the Muslim community and their property is being targeted. That is not the case with other religious communities, like Christians or Buddhists or Jains or Hindus. So there is no attempt. And there is also corruption among those properties. Those corruptions are also there. Hello? Hello?
Okay. Dr. Sheikh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is essentially we come then from this point of saying, well, okay, the current system does have a few cracks that need to be, patched up, and there are certain changes that need to be made, but definitely not the ones that have been proposed, because there's a lot of outcry surrounding these ones, and for many valid reasons. So What's the solution? What does that look like to you from your perspective? If not the Waqf Amendment Bill, then what else?
Yeah, so these issues were raised, and there is a requirement to consult. The government seems to be in a hurry for consultation. Government is reluctant to have consultations. They did set up a joint parliamentary committee. They petitioned. They were petitioned. They were petitioned to that committee how to fix this particular matter. But a lot of these recommendations were kind of rejected by the government, the bill. So the bill that is being approved by the government has rejected a lot of those things about it. So one way is to have a wider consultation, because India is a massive country, and the laws have got different dimensions in which state governments and the central government, they're all involved. So there is no hurry to kind of do it in 2-3 months' time. They could have waited and consulted a large number of people who are involved in it, stakeholders who are involved in it. But that is not which was done, but in a very, very hushed manner, in a very, very, everything being rushed into this. And eventually, a lot of recommendations that was given by dissenting voices, they were all rejected. So that is the major problem. There are two things. One is this could be addressed differently. Second is this, government could have had some patience, because this bill has got a long-term ramifications to one of the largest religious community and minority community in the world. So government could have waited and have consulted properly before it embraced the bill.
I mean, this over the course of this entire conversation, what actually comes to mind is, and I don't suppose you may have seen the news on South Africa's relationship with the United States. Of course, we are coming to you live out of Johannesburg in South Africa. But recently, that relationship has been quite rocky, because US President Donald Trump claims that the government here is doing very bad things, in his words, against certain classes of people. And he was referring to the Afrikaner minority group here because of certain land reform laws that the government has instituted here in South Africa. And I'm just wondering what he might then think about these kinds of actions in India, and some of the international community's responses to these things that are happening in India, especially in light of treatment towards Muslims in that country as a minority community. But nonetheless, Dr. Sheikh, I think just one final question before I let you go is the current status of this Waqf Amendment Bill. We know there's a lot of outrage about it. There's a lot of criticism meted towards it. But where does it stand at the moment, and where do you see it going in the near future?
Well, as far as the US is concerned, as you know, under Donald Trump, America's relationship, not just with South Africa, but almost every country, is going to be affected and is affected. There are concerns all over. So India is no exception. But Donald Trump has not showed any concern with respect to Indian minorities as such. Because in his project of Make America Great Again, minorities of other countries do not figure. As far as the bill is concerned, the government has already accepted it. So it will be going to Parliament now, then it will be put to vote. Government has the majority. But the present government is a coalition government, and there are some small secular political parties who are there. If they vote against the bill, then obviously the bill will not pass. But my sense is this, the relationship between these so-called secular political parties, some of them who are part of the coalition of the present government and the present government, is so good and is working so well that they would probably, even if they are convinced that this is against the Muslim community, they will still vote for the government. So there is very likelihood that this bill will be passed. That is what I understand. So there are a lot of lobbying going on, and I've been reading about it and hearing about it from different sources, because I know a lot of these people who do listen about it, how to vote during the parliament session and all of it. So that lobbying is going on. But my own sense is this bill could be passed, and there will be some significant changes. Now, once the BJP government is out of power, then maybe there will be some rethinking that may happen after 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. No one knows. At this point of time, things are going the way the BJP government is planning. And
all right, Dr. Mujibur Rehman Sheikh, thank you so much for your time here on Salam Media and sharing your thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was Dr. Mujibur Rehman Sheikh coming to us as the assistant professor at the Center for the Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy at the Jamia Millia Islamia Central University in New Delhi in India, speaking to us about the Waqf Amendment Bill, which has ruffled quite a few feathers in that part of the world, especially as it concerns religious places, religious properties and sites, including mosques and other community centers, and also how this fits in more broadly within the government's treatment of minorities in India. The time is now exactly 6 minutes to 5 p.m. Let's break for Asr, and when we come back, we'll continue with the show. Stay with us.